Hey Geeks, Mod Tim here with tonight's episode of Star Trek Season 2, Episode 26, Assignment Earth. So this is the last episode of Season 2. And honestly, it goes out with a low note. Like, I kind of debated even doing this episode, because it's not really even a Star Trek episode. So the whole episode is about Kirk and Spock dealing with Gary 7. And it's kind of what's known as a backdoor pilot, because the whole episode is about Gary 7. And the company actually wanted to do a series about this character, but they didn't pick up that script, so they kind of reworked it into a Star Trek script and shoehorned the crew into it. And then you get left with this, like, kind of hot mess where it's all about Gary 7 trying to prevent stuff, and then Kirk and Spock sporadically appearing throughout. And even the last scene of the episode is Kirk and Spock like, should we tell him what comes next? Oh no, we'll let him figure it out. Which is clearly about, like, if he did get his own series, like the future episodes. And then, of course, Spock ends with Live Long and Prosper, which he's never used as a farewell at this point in the series. So it's kind of to push that, like, oh, by the way, this is Star Trek. The only kind of interesting notes for this is that this is the only episode out of all of Star Trek, or for the original series, that only takes place in the 20th century. We've seen them do time travel a couple of times, and they even mention how they used a time travel technique to go back to the 60s for this episode, but we don't see it. They're only in the 60s for this entire episode. And this is the only time we've seen them redirect a transporter beam, which comes in more for the Next Generation, where somebody starts to beam one place and then somebody, like, interrupts it and takes them somewhere else. So this is that first interaction that we've seen of that. Overall, for a Star Trek episode, it's really low for me, just because it's not really a Star Trek episode, so it's kind of hard to judge. It's more of a Gary 7 show. That being said, tomorrow's episode is going to be the first episode of Season 3, Spectre of the Gun. For this one, Assignment Earth. Have you guys seen it? What do you guys think about backdoor pilots? Like, because it's not a new technique. Like, lots of shows have done it. Even in the Next Generation, we see the backdoor pilot for Deep Space Nine before we actually get that spinoff. So what do you guys think about backdoor pilots? Let me know, and I will see you guys tomorrow.